Hello, Tamily. It's time for interview 111 with Claire. Her Instagram name is Claire in Blue, and she is our guest of honor today. We will get started in just a moment, but it's always the most fun when we can take live questions from the chat. So type in any questions that you have at any time, and we'll make sure to scroll through and get all of them. Of course, we do also have planned questions for Claire, and we're super excited to talk to her today. So thank you all for joining us. We will get connected with Claire in just a moment. There she is, and we're just connecting.
Is that the right way up? Yeah, awesome. I had my phone all set up, and then you were upside down, or I was upside down. I was like, yeah, of course. But that's the right way up. Is that right? Yeah.
Yes.
Sorry, I'm just trying to make sure, because this is not going to fall off as soon as we start talking. There you go. You can see me, right? I'm so bad with technology. I'm always being told on my work Zoom calls, we can only see your forehead. All right.
Well,
cool.
we can see all of you, and you're gorgeous, and your background is gorgeous.
Nice. I'm just sorry. I'm going to turn the volume up as well because I can't hear you very well. Where is the volume? Now it's upside down. All right. Cool. Sorry, I'm always turning the volume down as well so that the phone's not so annoying, But there we go. Awesome. How are you, Susan?
I'm awesome now that I get to talk to you. Thank you so much for being our 111th Ask Tamily interview.
Wow, 111. That feels like a some kind.
Something, yes.
That's cool. That's a lot, though. You should be proud of yourself. Does that mean if you've done it once a week, then you've been doing it for almost 2 years? This.
Yep. Once a week for 2 years.
That's amazing.
A week. It's crazy. And obviously, there's thousands of people left to interview, so we will keep doing it for as much.
I don't think you'll run out because always new people are trying the method. So if you keep going, new people will start becoming Tamily in between.
Well, we're super excited to get to know you a little more, Claire. And of course, we want to jump in with some of the planned questions that we have, and we'll take questions from that too. Our first and most favorite question is just to find out about how and when you started with the method.
Okay, so it's one of these things, I don't know if this is an issue with aging, but quite often I find myself unable to remember exact details about things that I've been doing for a really long time. So with Tracy Anderson, I don't remember a moment that was and then I started doing it. But basically what happened to me is for years, I've been into exercise anyway. I was running marathons. I was going to the gym 5 times a week and doing all the different classes. I was boxing and spinning and, all of that. And I always was, I was always fit. Obviously I was running marathons, so I was fit, but I was never I never had that body that people have in magazines. Do you know what I mean? I was never I wasn't overweight, but I was never what you would call super slim or whatever. And I always kind of it wasn't a big issue for me. I was, I've never been one of these people who hated their body or anything, but I did always think, that's kind of weird, right? I work out a lot. What? But anyway, so I remember, sorry, you know what, my husband is pulling because I'm just waiting for him to take the piss, basically, because he thinks it's hilarious that anyone wants to interview me for anything. But anyway, the point is that I think what had happened is I had one of her magazine little 3 ab exercises or 3, something she'd done in a magazine that I was then I thought, oh, that looks fun, I'll give that a go, because I was always doing a few crunches or something after my gym class, and I thought, oh, these different crunches look fun, and I started doing them, and within a couple of weeks I was like, that's weird, in the mirror, I can see a difference. And I'd actually never had that before, where I was you know, I was always, like I say, always fit, but my body was always like a similar size and shape. And then suddenly I did these different exercises, and it was only like an add-on 5 minutes or something. Um, on top of doing whatever other exercise. And suddenly I was like, my abs look different. My body looks different. Like, wow, that's really cool. And I also enjoyed the exercises. They were fun and different. So I started looking up other things of hers, started doing other like add-ons, you know, and then eventually, you know, progressed all the way. Then I got a DVD, and then I was doing, you know, her other DVDs, and then I was still doing running gym classes and stuff. And then I started doing Metamorphosis, and then I combined that with running. Like running was my cardio, and I was still doing a lot of running. And then and then I'd done almost all of Metamorphosis, and then she started streaming, and then I went all in. I was like, I'm going to do the dance cardio, which for years I was like, me dancing, hilarious. No, like obviously not. And then, you know, it's like all these things, like never say never. And obviously now I dance every day and love it. So I think I've been doing the method for about 10 years. So sorry, that's a really long
no, we want
answers. That's just setting you up for what probably all my answers would be like.
The best interviews are where we hear you talk a lot. So have you been streaming then since the very beginning of when streaming started?
Yeah, like not the first week, but very soon after she launched it. But yeah, I like, it's funny because I just listened to her Ask Tracy thing, and she was talking about it being the 300th week and a 300th week of streaming. And I was thinking, I definitely was not in it for like that first week that it launched, because I also was not following her on Instagram, or I was not part of anything. Like some of the girls, like, you know, Tiffany Ann and some of these girls, they were like on Tracy's forum on her old website, and they already had a bit of a Tamily without the name. Like they had that already, but I definitely had nothing to do with that and didn't know about when streaming was started for a little while. Okay. And then I guess I'd found Tracy on Instagram at some point. And then as soon as I was aware of it, I was like, oh yeah, I have to do this, you know.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, yeah, I never looked back.
So besides like those ab lines coming up, what other kind of results have you seen from doing the method?
I mean, basically it was just that, and then it just turned up, and it just continued to go that way. So my body's a completely different shape than it was before. You know, like I say, you know, I think I've posted a few before and afters, because I think, you know, it's amazing when you see anyone's results. They're always amazing, and especially when people are proud of themselves and they've worked hard. But you often see these before and afters where it was like, I was really unfit and I was overweight, and then I worked out, and here's me fit. And in a way, so I think that my before and afters are quite interesting to other people who wonder, oh, should I try this? What's the point? Because I was really fit. Like I said, I was like, you know, making good times running marathons. And then I started doing Tracy Anderson. I'm actually, also, I was biking to work an hour each way before. So, and now I don't do that. And so I actually work out less than I used to, but my body's a completely different shape. It's like, you know, all over, just leaner. And, you know, so also having that ab definition, like being able to wear a bikini in this, I mean, I always wore bikinis, whatever. And I always was like I say, perfectly happy with my body. But to put on a bikini in the summer and be like, my abs look sick. Like, that, you know, I never had that before. So, and I've still eaten everything I want to eat. Awesome. You know, that's a win-win. So you know, but for me, the bigger one is that, like, you know, the physical results are great, but the biggest one for me is that I was having all sorts of back issues before I started the method. And it's actually, I probably should have said this with the previous answer, because one of the reasons I started doing Tracy Full Out was I put my back out at some point in the gym doing spinning, and like the instructor had not warmed us up properly and was suddenly like, do push-ups on the bars, and I was like, what, you know. And I essentially, once I had that injury, I just kept doing it. Like every few months, I think I was fine. I'd be feeling really strong, and then I do it again, and it's agony. It's like being an old person. You're on the, you know, couch. You can't move. You're like crawling to go to the toilet. It is not fun. And you know, and I was going to see, you know, my sports massage guy who was saying to me, you've got to do Pilates. Like, this is what's going to help your back. And I tried Pilates and it's just so boring. Like, I just was like, I'm sure this is good for me, but I just like, can't give a shit about it. Like, I just wasn't enjoying it. And when I started doing Tracy, it was just like, oh, this is going to give me what he wanted me to get from Pilates. And but it's also going to be more energized and it's going to be a workout. So the thing for me is like, you know, that, yeah, basically sorry, I'm just getting distracted by my husband, like walking over. Sorry, I've completely I've lost my train of thought. But yeah, I basically, the biggest results was that I just massively healed my back, and I'm much more flexible in my body. I can move. You know, I was talking to a friend the other day, and I remembered that, you know, if I used to have to lean down to pick something up, I'd have to do it really carefully so I didn't put my back out. And now I can just move so much more gracefully, easily. I have more reach. Like, I literally, you know, I can lean down and put my hands flat on the ground, which there's absolutely no way. Because when you run all the time, your legs are really tight. And, you know, you just like, you know, I was just injuring myself doing simple things. And I'm, you know, now that's the biggest thing for me. Like, I'll occasionally have back issues, but it's rare, and it's easy to resolve, and it's not, you know, it's not as serious, it's not as common. So I think that one for me, like, if I had to give up one or the other, I'd give up the physical results and keep that, because you know, pain is not okay.
Yeah.
So
Gosh,
yeah.
Such a good point about like what Tracy says about her workout strengthening our spines and things like that. Like, that's just such a huge benefit.
Yeah, for sure. That, yeah, spine is everything as you get older, for sure. And especially for all of us who sit all day for our jobs, you know, because that's the main thing that irritates my back. Like, if it ever gets irritated now, it's not the workout, it's I've been sitting and I've been, you know, leaning forward looking at the screen, or you know, all of
Right.
this. Yeah.
Yep, it's the worst thing for us.
Yeah.
So how do you get and stay motivated to work out regularly?
I mean, this is something like I never have a problem with, because I really have like internalized that idea of like, it's like brushing your teeth. Like, I just do it. It's not, I don't give myself an option. I don't wake up and think, do I want to work out today? Like, I just never have that conversation with myself. I just do it. And it's, you know, I've also been doing that for so long. And even before I found Tracy, it was like, I go to the gym in my lunch break or whatever. It was just part of my life. And I think the results are, it just keeps you motivated, for me anyway. Like, I love feeling like this. I love my body looking like this, and I love feeling energized too, and my mood is better, because I can tell you, like, if I haven't worked out, it's not pretty. Like, you know, my husband knows this, like, when we travel or whatever, he's so great about, you know, the fact that, like, you know, that to some degree our life gets dictated around it. I mean, obviously not extremely, but it's like, I'm going to get up and work out before we do whatever. He never complains about that. And I'm sure it's partly because he's a nice guy, but it's partly because he knows I'm going to be a bitch if I haven't worked out. Like, after the workout, I'm like, Serene, we're having breakfast, life is great. But if I haven't done it, it's just like, forget it. Yeah.
My husband will be like, did you do your workout this morning? I'm like,
yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. Actually, recently I was super stressed about, I mean, there's so many things to be stressed about these days, I can't even remember which thing. But I remember him saying to me, have you danced yet? Like, you should dance. Like, and it was like, oh, you've never said that to me before, but you're right. Like, I'm gonna go and dance. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, Claire, we have a couple questions coming through in the chat.
Cool. I can't see any of, because we've got the phones upside down, I can't see any of the
everyone
so tell me.
Smiles and hearts, and they absolutely adore you. McDance Love would like to know, what are you reading right now?
What am I reading? Yeah, okay. So I'm reading the new Elena Ferrante, which I don't know about the rest of you, but I had that delivered on Tuesday, but like pre-order day it came out, like I received that immediately. And that one, I'm reading that. I'm reading the current issue of the London Review of Books, which I've always read cover to cover, and you know, live by. So I have that, and I'm finishing the third Lord of the Rings book, Return of the King, because I started rereading those during the pandemic as a total like comfort food thing. Because you know, this pandemic has been so hideous that I think a lot of us have been leaning into like things we like that make us happy from childhood, like watch old TV shows or old movies that we love. It's like a comfort blanket, isn't it? You know, and it's also like and you know, it's much less harm to you than leaning into just eating cakes every day, or you know, whatever other thing we can do that's bad for us, like you know, leaning into like watching your favorite movie, or reading your favorite old books from childhood or something. I feel like that's like a pretty low harm comfort blanket. So yeah, I'm finishing that one as well and juggling. But yeah, I keep having to like rejig my to-do list with my books, because I have a book club with some friends of mine, and they're always picking like big books and multiple books. So you go, oh shit, quick, read that one. So I was reading The Group recently. I don't know if you guys know the 1960s feminist classic, The Group, and a British writer has just written a modern version. So we read the original. I reread the original because I read it before, and then the new one, and that was pretty good. But anyway, there we are. Sorry, again, another stupidly long answer, because I'm never reading one thing, like never.
Wonderfully long. I think that's why she asked. And then we have
I really love
from
her.
Sassy Cassie would like to know, as
Is
such
that
a cerebral person, can you share a little about your mental and psychological benefits that you've gained from the method?
What was it? Such a what person?
Cerebral.
Cerebral. Okay, I thought you said something bad. I was like, I was like, weird. Yeah. Can you say the question again? Is it too cerebral?
Yeah.
Now,
as such a cerebral person, can you share a little about the mental and psychological benefits you've gained from the method?
Oh yeah, totally. So I don't know if you guys have like seen Tracy's magazine, but like she asked me to write something about this for the last issue of the magazine, and like this was a really easy one for me to to write, because it's so true for me. The mental benefits like are really profound. It's partly it's processing stress. Like I've always got a lot going on. Whether previously I was juggling my PhD with trying to work and all my other things in my life. Now I run my own business, and I frequently have like multiple deadlines, and I also still have other things going on in my life, obviously, many other things to juggle. And so I process my stress in my workout. Like that helps so much, that I just start I work out, I shower and eat something, and then I'm like, okay, now let's deal with that to-do list, or you know what I mean? Whereas first thing in the morning, you're like, fuck, I've got a million things and it's not gonna blah, blah, but okay, let's do it. But the other thing is that I think a big thing is that the fact that the method is so complex and it changes all the time is a huge part of why I love it and why I've stuck with it, because I get bored so easily. Like I'm like, I think that's like an annoying side of the cerebral type of nature. Like I get bored like literally while people are talking sometimes, I find I like literally find it quite hard to to not get bored of things. So I'm never bored of the method ever. Like, and that is a huge part of it. You've got to find a workout that you love. Like, I'm sure that's something we all feel about the method. Even the days that you're like, fuck, this was so hard, you're like, yeah, so I think that's that's a big one. But it helps you focus. I think I literally think doing that workout, it is, I don't know, it gives you mental clarity, because you process whatever else, I think, and then you're able to be like, to just think clearly, so that's what I think anyway.
I totally agree. I really wonder, like, what on earth would life have been like without Tracy?
Wasn't bad thinking about Suzanne.
Who in the Tamily inspires you?
Oh my gosh. the longest list, like the longest list. In fact, like I have to say, like this sounds like I'm just sucking up to everybody, but everyone inspires me actually, because the fact that there's like people all over doing this, and you know, some of these women are like working and have all the crap that I've got going on, and they've got kids. Like I'm amazed by everyone, you know, really. But if I have to name some people, I have to 100% say Julia, the crazy shoe woman, who I adore. I just love her to death, and she really inspires me. She's always juggling so many things in her life, and she's got 3 children, and she, you know, has so many commitments and things to do, and she works out every day in the studio, and she's also like one of the nicest people I've ever met, so she does. And some of my other like studio friends, like Suri and Erin, Julie Laria and Claudia, like these guys, they really inspire me, because I think when you see the girls in the studio how they work out, you will step it up a notch, because these girls work super hard, and they're all like really high achieving women, and they're super nice, and do you know what I mean? So they really inspire me. But I think, you know, in terms of streamers, it's really everyone. There's so many people that I've connected with over the years and that I really like, but I'm really inspired by everyone. Like you know, everyone's got something, right? Like even no one's life is easy. Like never make the mistake of being like, oh, this person looks like wealthy and whatever. It's like, no. There are people who are like, who've got, you know, a really low income. And then there are people who are like really wealthy doing Tracy, and everyone has got a lot of stuff, and they're somehow making a workout happen every day. And that's really impressive. And, you know, I think that I'm like super inspired by, you know, girls who are doing the DVDs because they can't afford streaming, but they're like making it happen. And then, like I say, by these kind of high powered types who are fitting it in amongst like making the deals and picking up 5 kids. And, you know, I'm impressed by everybody. Yeah.
I am too. I completely agree. We have another question from the chat from Wonder Woman Tam, and she would like to know, what is your favorite vegan recipe or cookbook?
Oh my gosh, again, I have so many, and I'm sure I won't be able to reel off a recipe like off the top of my head, but my favorite cookbook author is Lindsay Nixon, who calls herself the Happy Herbivore. I literally recommended her to someone yesterday who was messaging me like, can you recommend my first vegan cookbook? I always recommend Lindsay, and she's someone, I sort of think of her a little bit similar to Tracy for me, that I just think she does so much good in the world, and she, you know, and she's just a lovely person, and she's helped so many people. And from that kind of health and wellness perspective, I think of her similarly how I think about Tracy, in a way that she has all of these cookbooks, the Happy Herbivore. She has a meal plan, she has a blog with free recipes, and all of her recipes are vegan, and they're also all whole foods based. They have no oil, so they are very healthy recipes, and she has a lot of no nonsense, like proper medically researched information on her website. And, you know, when my father had a heart attack, I was in the cab to the hospital calling Lindsay to say, like, please tell me what I can tell my dad to get him to change his diet, like, because he's going to die. Do you know what I mean? And, you know, and thankfully he did change his diet, but that's another story. But always Happy Herbivore. All her recipes are awesome, and they're so quick. They're designed for people who have got no time and who want to eat healthy, and they're all the recipes are light, even though lots of, you know, she has everything from like cakes and things to, you know, meals, but they're all very low fat and healthy and delicious. So always a Happy Herbivore, I would say.
Wow, well, you're selling me on that too. So
I recommend, even if you're not interested in going vegan, just as a kind of everyday weeknight healthy recipes, definitely recommend.
Awesome. Have you ever been to a Vitality Week or studio?
Well, you know I have, because I met you at one, didn't I? I think that when I met you and Nicole, it was my first one, I believe, at Watermill. That must have been, what, 6 years ago? Like, it was a long time ago. 5 years
Yes.
ago. It was a long time ago, but yeah. So I have been to a number of vitality weeks. I've been, you know, lucky enough to go to a couple in Watermill, which have been wonderful. I've been to one in London that she did when she came here. That was, you know, fun. And then went to one. I think it was a weekend or something in New York. But I've been to a couple kind of by accident because I've been going to New York and then she's doing something that weekend and been like, oh, come along to this. You know what I mean? So I haven't necessarily like thought I'm going to a vitality week, but then I've gone to it. So yes, I've been to a few. So I mean, it's such a hard time right now because none of us know when we're going to be able to do things like that again. But, you know, as and when she starts doing them again, highly, highly recommend anyone who can make it happen. You know, just save and make it happen because it's really magic and, you know, really special experience and highly recommend. And the studios, yeah, I've been to the Madrid studio. That's great fun, and they've reopened that one. And I've been to the New York studios, and I was sadly supposed to be going to, I can see Mary down there somewhere. I can't see what she's reading, but I was supposed to be going to California in April. I had like, my husband and I had like a month-long road trip in California booked, and we were going to go to the California studios. That was like our plan, you know, part of our plan. And sadly, the whole thing was kaput. And you know, it's gonna. But I think we'll rebook that as and when you guys fix your country. You know,
Right.
Might give it a couple of years, I reckon. But when you fix the country, we'll be coming straight to California to check out those studios.
We would really love to have you again. Hopefully, it won't be that long.
I hope not. Yeah.
So Mary actually asked, what is your number one Tamily memory?
Oh my God, there are so many. Oh God, there are so many. And some of them are like, you know, God, I don't know, so many. But I think, like, I'd have to say the one that probably people will enjoy the most if people don't remember this back in the, you know, days of yore on Instagram, that first vitality week that I went to, some of us ended up, somehow it was just one of these things that happened over time. Like we went out to get something to eat and we ended up going out to eat and get some drinks with, you know, it was a few of the studio, you know, pals and a few people at the vitality week, and it was Tracy and some of the trainers. And somehow a few of us ended up, this is in the middle of a vitality week, which I don't recommend, but we ended up drinking a lot. Including Tracy, including me, and then we all went to a really shady little nightclub thing and ended up dancing all night. And I, you know, sort of like, I don't know, something I hadn't done since I was, you know, my 20s, but just seemed like the right thing to do, and was just great fun and a great memory. And we massively regretted it the next morning when we were hungover and had to do Vitality Week day. And we were all a little bit green, but it was definitely, I think that's a memory I won't forget. And I won't forget Tracy dancing in a nightclub. And I tell you what, there's like every man in there did not know who she was, but fancied her. Like, even though she's tiny and it was dark, she's so magnetic. I just remember like the rest of us kind of batting off men as they all kind of were like towards Tracy. Yeah. Draws everybody to her.
She certainly does. Laura would like to know what your favorite book or author is.
Oh my gosh. My favorite author of all time, and anyone who knows me well knows this, is Henry James, who I named my dog after, in fact. Henry James is the best writer in the English language, I do believe. And his favorite book, well, my favorite book of his is The Golden Bowl, but recommend anything. But I also, another great favorite novel of mine is a book by Julio Cortázar called Hopscotch, or it's called Rajuela in Spanish. That is probably my favorite novel, even though it's by a different writer than my favorite authors. So highly recommend that one. It's almost like a choose your own adventure, but it's like, you know, a literary, a literary fiction. It's a really unique and cool novel, which many people have never heard of, and I highly, highly recommend.
Oh wow! I'm gonna have to like rewatch this interview and take notes.
Take notes on books. You know, it's cool. People are asking me about that because I'm like, because I would go, why do people want to know about their? But if you want to know about books, yes, I can tell you all about that.
We have some more questions in the chat. So
yeah,
not sure if I know this person.
Sorry. Sorry.
Would like to know, do you always incorporate the heat and humidity in your workout?
Yeah, I do. And again, I don't know if you guys heard the Ask Tracy this week, but I actually recorded her answer to my question, and I've saved it on an Instagram, IGTV, whatever. I mean, what do I know about technology? But I saved it on my profile. You can find it. And because I wanted to ask her about using heat and humidity in live classes, because I do use it religiously. I use it every day, obviously, unless I'm traveling. Although we've just been in Scotland and we did bring my heater, which my husband was like, really, really? Yeah, okay, let me go put it in the car. Anyway, but the point being that yes, I do try and get my house to the level of the studio every day, and it's really fucking hot and humid. And yeah, I wanted to ask Tracy about it because I have been doing that on the lives as well most of the time, and just feeling like this feels too much, like it doesn't actually feel great. But then I'm the kind of person who's always like, if I feel like I probably could do it, then I better, I feel like I'm cheating. And I actually anyway, so I was very happy with Tracy's answer, which was like, yeah, dial it back on the lives and have more energy and don't get so depleted, because that was the answer I was hoping for. But Tracy will 100% tell you if she thinks that you are cheating or not trying hard enough. And I've talked to her, for example, about, I always do a tane. And again, like some of the girls in London know this, like, do you want to meet up for a workout? We're going to do fundamental. I'm like, no. But anyway, but fundamental, I would ask Tracy about it, that I sort of feel like if I do that, I'm cheating. She's like, that's because you are. You shouldn't be doing fundamental. Like, you would be cheating. I was like, okay, yeah. Like, there we are. So she will tell you. She will tell you.
Absolutely.
Anyway,
it's all about that conversation. Yeah. What would be your advice to someone that is new to the method?
Yeah, well, I mean, there's lots of different advice. Like, the thing, if someone's like, people ask me quite a lot, they found my profile somehow on Instagram, like, how should I get started? And I always say to someone, like, obviously now you can do the free 2 week streaming, so that is the best option. I used to say to people, get one of her like cheap DVDs and see if you like it first, because look, we're all like converted, like we all think everyone's gonna love it, but people quit workouts all the time. So like, and streaming's like not cheap. So okay, see if you like it first. So the 2 week trial is awesome. Try beginner. And I think, for people, it's like, it depends where they're coming from, right? If you're coming from, I've never worked out before, I'm really out of shape, or I've got an injury, then it's like, start slowly, right? Start with beginner. If you can do it 3 times a week, great. You know what I mean? But if you're coming from like, you're already a bit fitter or you're ready to do it, obviously trying to do it every day is good. And I always say to people, I think this is based on what I've heard Tracy say, like, do beginner, and when you can do beginner all the way through without stopping, go to intermediate, like, and then once you can do that all the way without stopping, go to attain, And so, like, actually one of my best friends in the world, she started doing Tracy during the pandemic, and that's been really cool to see. And she's doing attain now already, but she is an old friend who I used to do marathon training with. So she was already fit, but she hadn't been able to run because she's had some joint issues. And then it was the pandemic, and I think like everyone else, we all felt like penned in, and she was like, I need to do something. Tell me about this workout. So, but she's loving it now. She's a subscriber and she's doing attain, and I think she's like, there are still some moves that she can't do or she can't do very well, but she's just kind of muddling through. And for me, that's what she's like me, like that's what I would do. I'll just do it and just you know, don't get disheartened. And I think I heard Courtney say that I listened to some of the previous interviews over the last few weeks, and I heard Courtney's one, and she was saying, you know, to remember that some of us have been doing it for ages. Like, you know, don't get disheartened that you can't do that, like, star side plank because, oh, you know, I can do it or Loretta can do it. And it's like, well, we've been doing it 10 years. Like, we couldn't do that like the first 2 months of it. So do you know what I mean? Like, never compare your like ability with anyone else, and just like, but look at your own progress. That's the most inspiring thing. It's like, you know, oh, like I was like, so my friend Kirsty, who's doing it now, she's texting me little videos of herself, like, look, I can do like the side move that I couldn't do like last time it came around, or like, you know. So that's the thing where you really feel the progress, you know. So yeah, I'm not sure if that really answered your question, but hopefully some bits of it did.
You know, I'm gonna jump to a question I've been wanting to ask because it has to do with that, really. So can you tell us about something that you can do now that you couldn't do before the method?
Yeah, well, yeah, I'm trying to think of what's the answer to this. I think probably what I said to you before about touching the floor with both hands comfortably, like, you know, reaching for things comfortably and gracefully, because I am not a graceful person. I am so clumsy. You know, if there's something I can hit my head on, I will. If there's something I can trip on, I will. But even if there's nothing there, I still trip somehow. Like, I'm really clumsy. I've always got like random bruises from banging into things, you know. But I'm a lot less clumsy since doing the method, and I am really like so much more able to say reach for something high and almost feel somewhat, I don't know if I look graceful, but I feel somewhat graceful doing it, rather than like, oh, this kind of you know. So I think that's the main thing, I think. But yeah, I mean, there's probably a lot of things if I really think about it, but yeah, I think in a way it's made me more confident. I feel more confident just in my body in a way. I don't mean like, oh, I look great, but I just mean I feel comfortable in my skin and moving into spaces. And sometimes it's hard to separate things out, right? Because it's like I've been doing the method for like 10 years. And then in that time, I've also gotten older and got my PhD and advanced in my career. So lots of things probably combined, but I think it is, you know, one of the elements in there in just feeling more comfortable in who I am and in my skin, in, you know, walking into whether it's a professional space or a friendship space, something like a Tracy Anderson studio. Like the first time I went to Watermill, I don't know about you, but I had all these assumptions about, you know, how everyone in there would be gorgeous and rich and would not be very nice. Like, I don't know what, I don't think I thought it through that clearly, but there was something in it that just thought, I'm going to feel like embarrassed and uncomfortable. And, you know, and in fact, you know, what you find is everyone's so nice. And now some of these people are actually like some of my closest friends. It's, you know what I mean? It's like, you know, I think I'm much more confident walking into places now and just, you know, yeah.
Absolutely. That's a huge benefit of it to me. What are some challenges that you've faced in doing the method?
I don't know about challenges. I'm not really sure I've had any. Like the main challenge is like getting through that class every day, right? Because it's always hard. Like it's never not really fucking hard. So I think that's, you know, that's the main challenge. Like I'm not sure if I can think of specific challenges, you know, in doing the method itself. Like the method is something that's helped me overcome other challenges. But, you know, I mean, I think for all of us, it's like, I guess it's true that fitting it in is sometimes a challenge, but you just got to make it happen. Like there are days when it's like, I feel rushed and I've got a lot of things going on and I feel a bit like everything's just a bit like, oh God, you know, there's just not enough hours in the day. But actually, you know, I don't know if I like, you know, highlighted this question when you sent me like some questions, but I think what I was probably thinking about is actually for me, the biggest challenge is also like one of the biggest benefits, which is the Instagram community and the Tamily, like which I, you know, I adore. I think it's so cool and I've made so many friends through it, but I am very like, I don't have good willpower with social media, and I think like so many of us, it's very easy for me to just be like, how did I lose 2 hours today looking at fucking Instagram or whatever, you know? And I got rid of Facebook years ago for the same reason. I was like, why the fuck am I scrolling through this and wasting my life, or wasting an hour that I could be reading, which I'd much rather be reading than reading like all these shit comment pieces that everyone's posted on Facebook, which I'm like, every single one, I'm like, yes, I already agree with that, or no, that's outrageous. You know, it's just like, this is not helping anyone. And that's, you know, that's why I got a Facebook. And then Instagram over time became this thing that was like, somehow I'm spending too much time on here. So I'm always like trying to seek balance with that, where I'm like, I want to engage with people, I want to be friends, I want to be following each other, but I also can't spend hours of my life on here a day. That it's not good for my mental health, and it's just not good balance in life. So I've took it off for today, but I have like a time check thing on Instagram that just shuts it down after a set amount of time. And I try to like, you know, I try to, you know, skim, like not look at the news feed every day, you know, just some days. And the thing is, it's funny because I don't know if this is just me and my like people pleasing nature, but I feel guilty if I'm not like following everyone and liking every post and saying you're doing so great. But then it's like, actually that's like, people don't need that. And also it's like every day I can't. So I know, you know, that I don't follow everyone. Like, you know, I want to follow everyone, but I don't. Like lots of people who follow me, I know that some people think I'm mean. I don't follow them back, and it's just like when I, you know, meet someone, have a connection with them, I do. But often, if I'm not following someone, it will just be because I'm not sure who they are yet, or it will also be if you post like multiple workout videos a day. Like I think that's great, and you should do it for you. You do whatever you want. That's amazing. But I can't. Like it's just too many, and so sometimes I like unfollow people, or I just hide them, even if they're people I really like. So I'm just like, it's too many, I can't keep up. Like, so so that's what I do for me. Like I never want anyone to take it personally if I'm not like following them or liking everything. And I try, if I realize sometimes people as well, I think I'm following them and I'm not. So, but that is actually for me a bigger challenge in the workout, is like the community is awesome, but also like, we shouldn't be looking at screens all day, you know?
Exactly. Yeah. That is such a good point, Claire. It is really hard to like balance that, and to think that we can feel
so
guilty not posting or liking something is insane.
It's stupid. I know it's stupid, yeah. But yeah, I only say it because I have had people say to me before. In fact, I've had people come up to me at Vitality Weeks and say, you're not following me back or whatever. And it's like, oh my God, like I can't, because it gets to for whatever reason. I don't, it sounds really arrogant, but for some, you know, because maybe Tracy shared something of mine and then lots of people follow me. I have like thousands of people following me, and it's like, that's so nice, like cool, but I just can't follow thousands of people. I just can't. Like I just, so anyway, I try and, you know, keep up with people as best as I can, and I really enjoy it, you know. I think you want to keep it on the enjoyable side as well, not like this feels like work now. Great job, great. Like that's not okay. Like that's not
Excellent point. Tell us about your routine with dance cardio.
Oh yeah, so well, I do every day I do a tane, and then I do about half an hour of dance cardio, and I do one of the catapults. I always do catapult. Again, because just I've been doing it for ages and I know the dances, I just enjoy that most. And there are so many of them, you know, that I just do a different one each day so I don't get bored. I always follow it. I never like just do my own music and dance. I always follow one of the trainers. So lately I'm obsessed with Crystal's two newer ones, where she does a lot of the newer dances and also older dances that perhaps we don't know as well because they don't come up as much. So she seems to have added in every dance that I need to practice more, and so I've been doing those on repeat for the past couple of weeks and loving those. But yeah, for me, like the dancing is something that I never expected to get into, and it's just one of these many things that I think is like a lesson that I hope everyone teaches their children, that it doesn't matter if you're good at something. Like that doesn't mean you can't do it. You have to keep trying, and then you get better. Like anything you can get better at. Like, okay, there's a few people who are a child prodigy at playing the piano or at playing tennis or whatever, but you're not just like shit at tennis the first time you try it. If you want to get good at tennis, if you do it every day, you will get good at it. You might not be, you know, competing at Wimbledon, but you will get good at it. You like, it's impossible not to, basically. And so it's the same with the dancing. I was two left feet and God knows what at first, and now I know like all the dances and I love it, and I'll dance in the studio with all of the like members and not feel out of place, you know. And it's a great, such a big joy in my life. Like, you know, I have a very sedentary job, and you know, the Attain's awesome, and it is like, I think it is very cardiovascular, but it's not that like boost that say I used to get from running. Like the cardio, right, for me to have that 30 minutes jump about is, you know, it feels really good. And you know, I feel great afterwards. And I, you know, sometimes I feel tired and I just kind of get myself through it. And other times I just feel like I'm bouncing off the walls, you know. So yeah, I love it. It's great. It's also like so many of these things, it's a great sense of achievement. Once you learn a dance, you're like, I finally got that one, you know. So it's good. Yeah. And then you can really start enjoying dancing it when you know the dance. So yeah.
Yeah, that's such a thing, I think, for people that are new to the method, to learn that. I mean, so many people say, oh, well, I'm not a dancer.
Yeah, like, that's not a thing. Yeah,
like yeah, you can learn it. You can actually do.
People in wheelchairs can dance. Like, you know, there are like just all different ways of dancing. You can always do something, and you can always get better. Like, you know, but in terms of like routine, like how, you know, should you be doing cardio, or, you know, because Tracy always describes cardio as an optional add-on, you know, these days. Like back in the day when I started, it was like you should be doing it, and now, you know, I think also Attain especially has gotten more cardiovascularly intense than like say Metamorphosis was like 30 minutes. It wasn't, you know, I think the cardio was like more of a must then. But in terms of how much cardio I do, it has just changed over time, and I think you have to listen to your body. You know, I used to do an hour of cardio after a tank, no problem. It felt great, enjoyed it. It just came a point where it just didn't feel as good anymore. I felt really tired at the end of it, or it felt more of a struggle, or, you know, my legs were feeling a bit tired, not like injured, but just bit sore and tired. And obviously I don't have the floors yet, but, you know, I think there just came a point at which like 30 minutes felt really good, and I really enjoyed it, and ended like great. And then, you know, an hour started feeling like a struggle, and that was like an easy transition. And, you know, my weight stayed the same, and that feels better for me. But if I go to the studio, I'll do the whole class and love it. But it's, you know, it's a few days. You know, at home daily, I normally do about 30 minutes now, and that's just like the sweet spot. But you just listen to your body over time, and I think it changes. Like, you know, you have to, especially as a woman, like hormonally, you kind of have to like see what feels good to you over time. And I know, you know, you might, doing no cardio might be right for you, doing lots might be right for you. You know what's right for you, I think, what feels good.
Exactly. Have you converted anyone to becoming a devoted Tammer? I guess your friend during quarantine, right?
Yeah, exactly. So my friend Kirsty is I think she's pretty converted, and I am like impressed by that. I don't know if she's on this chat, but she is someone who I would have, you know, if someone had said to me, who out of your friends looks at your Instagram and definitely takes the piss, I would have thought Kirsty. Like she would have thought she would never be into something like Tracy Anderson. So the fact that she loves it now is a great pleasure to me. But a few people, yeah, I've definitely, like, you know, there's another close friend, actually, my friend Kirsty and I, our mutual friend Gary, he actually started doing it before her, so he does it. He's been doing it all through the pandemic and before, so that's a great very old friend of mine. Both of those two I've known since I was like 18, and they're both doing it, so that's really cool. And we have our little WhatsApp chat, which is called Oh My God Tracy, which my friend Kirsty created, which we, you know, text about like what's going on that week, so that's really fun. And yeah, you know, actually quite a few people who are like other friends I know have at least tried it, and maybe they didn't stick with it streaming, but they do it sometimes or something, you know. And also, I've had like quite a few really nice messages from people I don't necessarily know, but who came across my Instagram somehow, probably like mostly like before and after pictures or workout, you know,
Right.
and who've like later told me, oh, I love the method. I've been doing it because I found your Instagram and I found about her. So, oh, that's so cool, you know. So, yeah, I know that there's been a few, I think. Yeah.
That's fantastic. What do your friends and family think of the Tracy Anderson method in general?
Well, I think, you know, like I said, I definitely think there's a few piss takers, but that is like in our blood as English people. Like, we have to take the piss. That's how we show we care about you. Like, so that's completely, you know, par for the course. But actually, I think in general, people are very supportive. I was very nervous about sharing anything on Instagram at first because it was just like, everyone at the time who was following me on Instagram was like my real friends. And I thought, you know, I can't share this, you know. But actually, the funny thing is, like, a lot of my friends who I would have thought would have taken the piss or been like, why are you sharing that? A lot of them have been like, wow, that's so cool. Oh, that's really amazing what you're doing. Or like, they're really inspired. Or, oh, I need to work out more. Or, you know, most people have been pretty supportive. Like, the only negative reaction I've had from people, probably maybe from my parents, it's this idea from people who don't exercise a lot, this idea like, oh, you're doing too much. Like, you work out every day or too much. Like, I think it's a different mentality. It's that mentality of like, oh, you must be obsessed with exercise, you must be like unwell, like it's some kind of eating disorder thing. But you know, I just don't really, I think it's just such a different mentality. Someone who, you know, someone who doesn't exercise at all, and then we're exercising daily, they just don't get it. And I just try and explain as nice as I can that I feel great. I wouldn't be like pushing myself through it if I felt exhausted, you know. You know, there's really no downside for me. Like, I feel great, I feel energized, I'm always like eating what I want. Like, it's not like I'm worried about my weight or starving
Right.
myself or something. It's, do you know what I mean? And I definitely, like I say, when I felt like, oh, I feel like I'm doing too much cardio, I'm wiped out, I do a bit less, you know, or I try and feel it out. So yeah, I think it can seem a bit obsessive to people sometimes, and I get that. But I think that's, you know, in general, it's like they just are like, you know, yeah, I can see Zarita, you know, Zarita, the trainer, she's from London as well. She's a good London girl like me. But yeah, that's what she's saying, is that in the UK, people are like, like going to the gym 3 times a week is like what you think is like really consistent exercise. And like a lot of people I know don't work out. Like, they might be, you know, walking and healthy enough, but yeah, they some people don't get it, and it seems to them like craziness. But I understand that, but I just, you know, tell them I feel great, I feel good, you know, and like I look good, and like, you know what I mean. It's like time tells. I think it's funny how many of those same people come back in a year going, can you tell me about that workout you're doing? I can't really lose this belly, or I feel really tired all the time, even though you're exercising every day and I'm not. You
Right.
are like always bouncing with energy, and I'm, you know, tired. So yeah, it's been interesting how many people who either were not that interested in it, or who were a bit negative about it have later started doing it. Yeah.
Yeah, very interesting. Well, we are coming up on our last few minutes of this interview with you, so I want to make sure we ask you a couple of things. Tell us about where you live and what you do.
Oh, wow. So I live in London, which is, you know, a great place. Big, you know, melting pot of everyone under the sun. You know, people always laugh when they meet me in London because they, oh, are you actually from London? Because I was like born in London, and that's very unusual. People are always like, oh, is that a thing? I thought you know, because everyone's from Spain, Portugal, Guatemala, like America, you know, everyone's from everywhere. So, you know, I think like it's kind of unusual, but yeah, London is a fab city. It's very weird right now during the pandemic, which I'm hearing, you know, the same thing from New York and lots of other places, that it's a bit hollowed out, that it's a bit strange and sad right now. There's a lot of homelessness. There's not, you know, be a lot of businesses that are closing, but you know, London is, you know, one of the oldest cities that we have. It's the, you know, Londinium, the kind of original city, so it will not be going anywhere. So yes, I definitely feel very much like a London, like a West Londoner specifically, where my best friends and I all lived and grew up in West London, and all still live around West London, and we all have, you know, I still have my original best friend group who I still hang out with all the time. So yes, I feel very attached to West London. And what I do, I actually now I have my own little business where I kind of I write and edit and do various other things to do with medical studies. Actually, it's not exactly my field. My field of my PhD was in racial politics in America, actually, American politics and race specifically. So I've actually been doing a few articles because of Black Lives Matter, because of Trump basically just like turning America into a fascist country over the last 4 years. I've actually been, you know, writing a few articles, you know, on these kind of topics, especially with the election coming up, you know, because that's my academic field. But in terms of the work that I do, so I do that. But also in terms of the work I do, I work on medical studies. And so I work on all sorts of different documentation, like designing the study and then working on all of the written materials, like the protocol to design the study, and then the report afterwards, and then any publications that come out. So so I do that. Yeah.
Excellent. Well, we always like to get to learn about what different Tamily members do. I knew a little bit about that, but not everything. So that's so awesome. We have another question in the chat that I'm dying to know as well, which is Henry James with you right now?
He is. He's asleep in a box. You want me to get him up? Henry, can you wake up? He's dead to the world. He's been out. I'll try and get him. Henry, come say hi. Oh, buddy. Come on, baby. Come say hi. Oh. Poor buddy. He's not going to thank me for this. He's tired.
Aww.
There's Henry.
He's so cute. Oh, gosh, he's so cute.
Poor buddy. You can see I just woke him up. He's like, what are you doing to me? I don't love you anymore. There we are.
We couldn't have an interview without him making an appearance.
Yeah, Henry's like the star of my Instagram. Who's that, buddy? Who's that? Yeah, just yawning.
Well, we are down to like our last 60 seconds before Instagram.
So Instagram cut you off? Do they cut you off?
It automatically ends us.
Okay.
Is there any thing that you would like to say to the Tamily while you have this audience?
Oh God, no, just thanks for tuning in. I'm like, it's really nice that people wanted to hear this, and you know, it's really always nice connecting with everybody, and I appreciate all of you. I need to like listen to all the previous Ask Tamily interviews. I've listened to some, but it took me a while to understand how to access them. I am not tech savvy, so now I'm like re-listening. But yeah, just thanks to everyone who connects with me and inspires me, and you know, I look forward to hearing all your interviews.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for joining us there. Oh, of course.
No, thanks to you and Nicole, because you guys are really cool for doing this, and it brings people even more together. So you're very cool and appreciate it.
Thank you very much. Well, your interview will go on to the Ask Tamily page in just a minute, and then onto YouTube in a few days. And we didn't even get to all of our questions for you, Claire, so we really might have to talk again in the future.
I'm happy to. Anyone can always message me. I always do reply to messages.
Thank you. It's been a wonderful interview.
Say bye.
Bye.
Now I'm one of those people. Bye. He hates me now.